name is Dave Zoebeck, and I'm a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. And I look at Cheryl's friendship and mine, and I think of her as a sister in every sense of the word. My condolences to the family for your loss, and to John, I know you lost your best friend. I want to tell you a little ditty about when you and Cheryl met that you might not have heard, okay? This is between two brothers here. Nobody else listening, all right? Promise. When I first met you, I knew you were legit because she checked out everything ahead of time. And quite frankly, she didn't need a Jodish chart. I think she just put that out to stall the inevitable. She did not just love you, she was in love with you every day. Let's make no bones about it. Cheryl's in this room right now. You can't see the body, you can't see those bright blue eyes, you can't hear that joyous laughter. There's no one in this room that can't feel her right now. And that is legit. About a month or so ago, I spoke to John Hagelin, who is the leader of the TM organization in the United States and well known around the world. And he asked me to bring his condolences to the family, because Cheryl was well known in the TM teacher community. She did teach around the world. She did teach individually. And one little kind of fun Cheryl stories, and you know you can come up here 20 times because you're going to leave something out. You know, that's a given. So she told me this story at one point that when she was in Europe, she was training other teachers of Transcendental Meditation. She was selected by Maharishi to do this. So she said one day when she was doing her duties, she was asked through a surrogate of Maharishi to say, he needs to go someplace and he wants you to drive him. She said, drive him, and drive him. So, up pulls this BMW. Cheryl gets in, right? BMW, Maharishi gets in, he's smaller than Cheryl. And he starts telling her where to go. And she said, I thought I would be nervous, but I wasn't. And he'd say, we're going to go to this town, and then we're going to go to this town. And she said she was just cruising around, of course on the wrong side of the road, in the BMW and taking him whenever he wanted. I didn't think she'd be nervous because Cheryl was at home no matter who was in front of her. It was someone who was incredibly accomplished, that she knew, or someone that she didn't know, and she just met. She had the same grace with every single person. She knew the value of silence. She got it. Martha's description about learning something new when you're in that room and being able to apply it. Bingo. You didn't hit the target, you hit the bullseye. She picked up on it. She was brilliant. You would never know it because her humility was what came forth. It was never about her. It was about how can I help you or them or they or how many other people or the world. She knew that was her calling. No one had to tell her that. She just happened to be the prime example of when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that was Cheryl. We talked a lot about consciousness, a lot about meditation in a universal concept, not just specifically to TM. She was very worldly. She knew the secret of relationships, and once she started to experience that silence in herself, she established a relationship with herself that was peaceful. So then those around her just came to her with that same peace. They recognized that, and they also recognized that that was inside themselves. So the natural thing for her to do is to teach a technique that directs the attention to a deeper level of silence, and then without that stress in that nervous system, they get more out of their full potential. It's nothing crazy. It's not woo-woo. It's common sense. And she had tons of common sense. She was practical. That's what I loved about her. She was not a mood maker. She didn't try to make somebody happy. She just was herself. And then the happiness in you start coming out wave after wave after wave. Cheryl knew a lot about theories. She was brilliant. She would read and find out. But you know what? Here's the other half of that. She knew not just how to talk about theories, she knew how to walk the walk. She lived her life to the fullest. We used to joke. I used to say, we'd call and I'd say, "Hey sis, what's up?" She said, "Nothing, my brother." She goes, I said, "What day is it?" And we'd always ask this question, "What day is it?" We'd say, "It's the best day of our life. Every day is the best day of our life." That's universal. That's for you too. You can look for the good. It takes an amateur to find the negative and camp there. It takes an amateur to find the negativity and camp and stay there as long as you want. When we talked about some negativity, we did our little wham-wham dance for about 3.4 seconds, and then we go, what do we do to solve this? What are we going to do about it, my brother? What are we going to do? Here's what. So for 9 years, I worked at a military university teaching transcendental meditation at Norwich University in Vermont. She said, when you continue through that course, give me an update weekly. And we'd have, here, this is what happened, this is what's going on. And she'd be so excited for everyone, thinking that in her idea of what could bring peace to the world, if we can get these young people meditating at an early age, 17, 18, when they come in as freshmen in college, we know they're the next greatest generation, and they are. There's no mystery here. And one day you may find them sitting at a table when they have 2 and 3 and 4 stars on their shoulders because they've earned it. They've come up. They're the next generals and admirals. We know that. And they have to make some calls. Maybe they'll call for peace. Maybe their nervous system will be orderly. Their brains will be clear. You know, we say clear minds make less mistakes. Clear minds make better decisions. And clear minds can save lives. Maybe this is just the start of that seed for world peace. And I know it's all ideal, and I get it. There's negativity, it's going to come back, you know, this and that and the other. War doesn't work. It's a fact. We can't argue with an EEG if this is what happens to your brain. It's kind of like that old commercial. This is your brain on stress. This is your brain on TM. Okay, there's a difference. You can argue as long as you want. Don't let me take that negativity from you. Put the death grip on it. Here we go. She knew different, but it doesn't matter. She never responded to that negativity. You know, one of the deals about going last, after you have so many people who know her so well, is they steal all your stuff. But it's universal. I will do my best to carry on the legacy of Cheryl Beckett, teaching TM in the same way we all learned how to do this as instructors. And so when Cheryl passed, I had a conversation with John, and he said, he told me exactly what happened, and he said, there's 2 people in my life that have died that I was He said, I understand how life works. Whoever comes into the world goes out. That's how it works. There's no surprise. Okay? He said, but when my mother died and when Cheryl died, it just surprised me. Because kind of like Martha said, I never imagined myself being up here talking about Cheryl because she was younger than she was. But the celebration is what we gained by her presence in our lives. And we can focus on the loss or the negativity. And I encourage you to put your attention on positive things. That would be a celebration of Cheryl Beckett. We're going to have a moment of silence here in a minute. John asked that if you decide to make any type of donation, that you can make that to TM organization as well, that would fund someone here in the Fort Collins area. And we say Fort Collins area covers Greeley, Loveland, eastern Wyoming, parts of Nebraska, and they asked, would Dave Zoebeck take over for Cheryl? I said, well, that's not going to happen because no one can take over for her, but I'll do my best. So to continue that, if you are interested, you can give your email to us, and we can send you a link, and you can do that privately. Also, and I know Cheryl would say this, I feel that very clearly. If you're doing TM and you haven't had your meditation checked and you'd like to get a little tune-up, as we would say, in the Norwich University, the military said, sir, I need a tune-up. Okay, we're going to do this. I can do that for you. There's no fee to that, of course. If you want to do any Zoom conferencing or any other information, I'd be happy to do that. And this isn't an advertisement. This is just carrying on the legacy of my sister. So before we go into our moment of silence, I just wanted to share this with you because it was one of her favorite prayers. And it was written centuries ago, thousands of years ago, and it was originally in Sanskrit, but I'll give you the English translation. It says, let us be together, let us eat together, let us be vital together. Let us be radiating truth, radiating the light of life. Never shall we denounce anyone. Never entertain negativity. And that's just not a prayer, that's a way of life. And Cheryl and I talked about that frequently. And we checked in with each other a lot. And I want to tell you, I certainly am sorry for the passing of Cheryl, but I am more overjoyed for that you and all the people that you could have been with in your lives. Cheryl was right there front and center. Congratulations. You were chosen. So I want to be tactful about this and say we will have a few minutes of silence. Those of you who have learned TM, if you choose to do the technique, I won't have to tell you what you need to do. You know the drill. Those of you who don't do TM and you close your eyes, whatever floats up, whether it's a prayer or a thought of Cheryl or a thought of a desire for peace for yourself, your families, and everyone around you, whatever you choose to do, no big deal. But silence is very, very powerful.
Cheryl, my mother is Martha Maxwell, and so Cheryl moved across the street on Shealy Drive. I was just finishing up and going to college, so there was times when I definitely spent time with Cheryl and John, of course. But the significant aspect that I wanted to share was learning about shackling. And my mother was introduced to shackling, and it was hard because, no one needed any nutrients or any vitamins, and so, but over time, Cheryl Cheryl was persistent, and she finally agreed to try these things. And the same was true with me. And one interesting aspect was, you've all heard how smart Cheryl was, and really open mind, a really out-of-the-box thinker. And at one point, my mother and I, they were partnered up in this shackling business. And Cheryl actually got a live blood cell analysis. It's a microscope. So you can actually just prick a little bit of blood out there, put it on a microscope, and put it on a slide. You can actually see the live blood of your own blood, of course, and see what's going on. And that was really remarkable. And I remember going over to Cheryl, and Mom would do this, and I could see, I was 22 years old at the time, so I'm in pretty darn good health, right? Well, I could see things like undigested protein. My white blood cells were kind of sluggish and not moving very quickly because of the sugar that I was probably taking too much of. Little things like that, and it was such a eye-opening experience. And they went later on to Hawaii with this device. Their business was really thriving, and they were helping a lot of people. I think many of you are in this room. Perry mentioned that as well. So Cheryl has helped a lot of people, and I want to let you all know that this is still continuing for many people. They have learned the value of health through shackling, and I'm grateful that John doesn't even know how to run the business, and yet he's getting a check every month from shackling, and that's really gratifying. That's the desire of helping people on and on and on, and being compensated for that is just not a problem at all. It's such a good thing. So that was really special. And today I'm extremely healthy, and I take a boatload of shackling supplements and love it every day. And I'm very grateful and thankful for Cheryl that shared shackling with us. And that's just one part of the aspect of Cheryl and John. But my mother enjoyed so many trips around the world with them and did so many great things. And she really was Cheryl's best friend. The last statement, John mentioned the black man, Ron, who Cheryl had helped. And I want to say that we're continuing, Mom and I, Martha and I, are continuing helping Ron. And he's doing pretty well, actually. It's still a challenge. There are a lot of unfair things that I find unbelievable that can happen, first in Fort Collins, and secondly in America. But they do happen, you know that. So I just want to let you know that Ron is being taken care of, and that's just a legacy of caring that Cheryl initiated. And Mom and I are definitely picking up that and carrying that on, and it's really special. So I will miss Cheryl immensely, of course.